He is the new president and CEO of Big Sandy Community and Technical College. We'll talk to Dr. Devin Stevenson about his goals for the college, their involvement with the SOAR Initiative, and more tonight on Issues and Answers, the Mountain Edition.
Issues and Answers, the Mountain Edition, is sponsored by the City of Hazard. Come home to the mountains.
Dr. Devin Stevenson with us tonight. He's the new president of Big Sandy Community and Technical College. Dr. Stevenson, welcome to Hazard.
Steve, it is great to be here.
And welcome to Eastern Kentucky.
Well, it's nice to be in Eastern Kentucky.
Tell me, first of all, just a little bit about your background, where you grew up, what you've been doing for the rest of your life.
Well, that's right. I spent an early part of my career in northeast and northwest Alabama, which is the foothill of the Appalachian Range, working with coal mining education. In fact, our community college where I worked at for the first part of my career had the Alabama Coal Mining Academy right there. So we trained workers, we assessed workers, and then we did mine rescue as well. We still fund 2 mine rescue teams for the small operators in the area. It was a comprehensive community college with 4 campuses. So I spent a long time there learning about comprehensive community college education. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, Roll Tide.
There you go.
And very excited to be in Kentucky where collegiate sports is big, and didn't have to move out of the SEC region to enjoy some good stuff. Big supporters of UK basketball, by the way. You had a lead guard named Devin, my first name this year, and so we tracked him quite a bit. But I've been involved in community education, community college education by choice since graduating from Birmingham Southern College with a bachelor's degree. And I love this work. I'm passionate about it. I believe it's important that we be engaged in economic, workforce, and community development. I think that's a noble calling, and it's been something that I've been committed to my entire life. I have a beautiful wife, Judy, and we have 2 children that we left behind in Alabama. Our daughter is a nurse, a bachelor's degree nurse who's becoming a nurse practitioner, and our son sort of followed in my footsteps in higher ed as a director of field experience at Athens State University in Alabama. So we're glad to be in Kentucky. We believe this is a great opportunity and that we're a good fit, and look forward to some good things in the future.
Well, I found it interesting that you actually applied for this position 14 years ago. So obviously you wanted this job a long time ago, and again.
I did, and I think that speaks to my compassion for rural community college education. I believe it's very important. I was sought after for this position 14 years ago by search consultants, and I applied. I was a finalist. I think there were only 2 of us. And so I've never forgotten Big Sandy. At that point, it was Prestonsburg Community College, right before the merger and before Kentucky Community and Technical College system became alive and well. And so I saw a lot of very positives, a lot of future opportunities in Kentucky, and I've wanted to get involved in this system for a long time. And so I think there's always the right time, there's always the right place for you, and if you're smart enough and wise enough to listen, you'll be there. And this was just a perfect, authentic fit. When I was called and asked to apply, I looked at it, thought it would be with my experiences, especially, Steve, the 14 years of experience that I've had from the time that I was a finalist to now, I think make me much better to lead this institution. I'll be much more effective than I would have been 14 years ago. I've had the opportunity to serve 2 institutions as a president, all rural, and so I think I'm ready for the task. I'm up for the task, and I've got a lot of energy to try to do some good things with our team here.
Well, what are your overall first impressions of the region? What sticks out so far that you've seen in the last few weeks?
Well, I think when I reached out to some of my references and told them that I was going to apply and they needed to be cognizant of the possibility of a phone call, some of them said, "You're going to Eastern Kentucky." And then I reminded them that I have a home in a very small town in Alabama of 3,000, that I'd worked with the coal mining industry, that I've helped to be able to divest an economy from basic coal to manufacturing, especially with the automotive industry in Alabama with Mercedes and Toyota, Honda. And so that sets me up to be able to be right here, right now, as we see some things changing in Eastern Kentucky. My first impressions are, number one, there are a lot of bright people here. There's great opportunity here. I've never looked at problems as just that. Some people look at problems as impediments and barriers, and I look at them as possibilities. They're challenges for me. They're the kind of things that make me get up in the morning and want to do something good. So I see a lot of potential here. Mm-hmm. And I've already been trying to connect those dots. I think the role of a president has to be to effectively future-proof the decisions down the road, to wake up and say, what does it take down the road? And I know for a fact, Steve, that good leaders see the possibilities before they become obvious to others. And so that's one of the things I try to do, is look at the possibilities and see, where does this institution need to go in the future? How do we need to think forward? How do we need to look at what the trends are? So I see opportunity, possibility here. This is a vibrant area with lots of resources, lots of natural resources, lots of human capital, lots of ingenuity, lots of innovation. And what we need to do as an institution is work with partners to harness all of that, to make good things happen. So I tell people, let's not look back, because if you get stuck in tradition, your history, we need to look forward. And that's what we're going to do. I think we've got lots of opportunity, and I know we're going to talk about some of those today.
Well, speaking of partners, you're prepared to make an announcement today about a new partnership with the University of Pikeville, right?
We're really excited about this. You know, you've heard a lot of talk about dark fiber optic networks coming into the area, and it's a real thing here. In August, Macquarie, which is an Australian company, will begin to strand dark fiber, very high-speed fiber, throughout this region. And there's not a workforce to come off the fiber, what we call those electronic information technology exit ramps, and bring that to the vendors that are going to provide it to small business, to homes, to businesses just like this one. And so we have now geared up in partnership with UPike to offer, through certification, certified by the Fiber Optics Association of America, certification courses to teach people how to do fiber optics, both the splicing, the testing, and the installation. So you're talking about really high-level, high-tech coursework that is certified, and when the students come through, they will be certified by FOA. The neat part is we're introducing stackable certificates. So we'll offer certificates 1, 2, and 3, then they move into the associate degree, and then UPike, University of Pikeville, will assume the role of moving students then into the baccalaureate degree program. One other interesting piece of this is that the University of Pikeville is providing housing, room and board, to students that come in, regardless of the length of time. We believe students need to be here about 2 to 3 weeks for the initial certification, and UPike will provide that room and board. So it's no longer a barrier for people that have to literally transplant themselves into this area. We believe there are 400 immediate jobs beginning in August that will ramp up to about 2,200 jobs in eastern Kentucky. And that's the first phase. The next phase then will be what we call on-premises installation, that will bring the exit ramps into the home and into the small business. So the sky's the limit. And we're gearing ourselves up for that. About $3.7 million in federal money has been earmarked for us to create a center of excellence, which we intend to do in Pikeville on our campus there. Mm-hmm. This may be one of the most exciting things that I've been able to announce in my career in probably the last 15 years.
Wow. And for those who may not know, where are your campuses located?
We have 4, and they're very vibrant, alive campuses. What's interesting, each one of them is unique in its own way. Mm-hmm. In Paintsville, we have a very strong technology campus, both high-touch, high-tech in nature, everything from auto mechanics to the new fast-track IT, which will teach coding. Hager Hill, which does a very fine HVAC program, as well as welding, and truck driver training and CDL training. Then you come into Prestonsburg, which is a beautiful, beautiful multi-acre campus there with multiple buildings that looks like a small 4-year institution. We do about 60% university transfer. We have nursing, both levels of nursing. Dental hygiene is there as well. And then you move to Pikeville, which we have a very large facility there. We teach everything from mechatronics, industrial technology. We teach university parallel transfer courses and automotive technology. And we're about to build 60,000 square feet of additional space onto that building to handle the demand. So we're located all up and down that 23 Mountain Parkway corridor from Paintsville down to Pikeville.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part for you of being a community college president?
I think it has to be seeing the students. I started out seeing the students finish and seeing the students accomplish good things while they're on campus. I started out in this work as a dean of students. I started working with students in their success and educational career pathways. I've never felt as a president I could ever abandon myself of that noble and high calling. I believe students first should be our mantra. And you know, I always say it's not necessarily what a student wants, because at the age of 18, neither one of us or any of your staff here knew what we really wanted. What we need to do as a staff, we need to determine what students need. And we need to offer them what they need, not necessarily what they want. And so I think we have to have a student-first philosophy, and that's really what intrigues me most, is working with the students and watching them come to the campus, go through all of their educational rigor, and then on graduation day, walk across the stage, and I have the wonderful opportunity to hand them a diploma that represents a lot of hard work, a lot of support from their parents, and then a very, very bright future. To me, that's the most rewarding. Never will ever get away from that.
Well, you touched on this earlier. Of course, the economy here has taken a big hit in recent years. What role do you think the community college can play in economic development across the region?
I think myself, Steve, that economic development, community development, and workforce development work hand in hand with a community college. You know, in America, we are the only American educational invention, started by the University of Chicago in the early 1900s. Community colleges began here. Every other phase of higher ed began in Europe. So this is the American invention that makes dreams come alive, that helps people achieve, that helps the possibilities become reality. And so I really think that if we don't focus in making a difference in the communities that we serve, we certainly can't have economic development. Community development is a critical piece of what we do. And so I think we have to be engaged actively. That is why when the new initiative, One East Kentucky, came into this area, I lobbied hard for them to be on our campus. And I've placed them now in an office right across from my office, because I believe the president of the college and our community college has to work hand in hand with industrial recruiting, with economic development, improving the quality of life, raising economic and educational opportunities for people. That's just our work. If we ever abandon that, we will lose relevancy. And if we do that, then we become no longer needed. So I think the biggest role that we have is securing this region's future through being actively engaged. And that's one of the things that I promised the board. One of the things that I promised Dr. Jay Box as a system president, that I will be actively engaged. I will be in the community, I'll be listening, I'll be participating, I'll be contributing to trying to make good things happen. This fiber optics piece that we're doing in Pikeville is just one example. The new fast track IT program that we're going to be doing is another example. So it takes a president who is visibly engaged to be successful, but the college has to be networked. It has to be involved if we're going to be relevant and if we're going to exist and thrive.
You mentioned Dr. Box. He's also fairly new in his role.
Yes.
I'm sure you've met with him probably more than once. Tell me about your impressions of him so far.
Well, I'm the first president that Dr. Box hired. That occurred in late March, early April.
Yeah.
He had to. I hope he had to get it right, and I hope I am right, Steve. But I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on him as the new system president. You know, here's Big Sandy. It's a region that's got to have someone that's got some experience as such. And so it was interesting. I came up for the interviews. On Monday morning was the first meeting, and it was with Dr. Box for breakfast and to talk about what my vision for this area was and to hear his vision. I'm extremely impressed. What I'm impressed about is that he believes there has to be balance. While you have a system, you have local schools that have to be autonomous, because frankly, the small communities that we serve care more about our institutions than they do the system office, and the system office knows that. So he is providing that type of balance, understanding the presidents have to have the autonomy to be transformational, to be agile, to be responsive to the communities that we serve. And I am most impressed with that about him. He is retooling the way the system operates and the way the presidents operate so that you don't have as many top-down driven decisions. The presidents are going to share what those needs are at the local level and bubble those up and help him synthesize those issues, those problems, those challenges, and make something great happen. So I'm really impressed with his ability to be able to see how important the local institutions are. He's an impressive leader. The only problem, he's from Texas and he's a Longhorn fan. And so while he's going hook 'em horns, I'm screaming roll tide.
All goes back to sports.
It all goes back to collegiate sports, that's right. But he's a great guy and I've thoroughly enjoyed working with him so far.
Well, I'm sure you've heard a lot about the SOAR Initiative since you've been here. What do you think about that and the 3-year partnership that was recently announced?
Well, it's interesting. I've been following SOAR since I applied for this job. And I made a contact to Jared Arnett long before I came here. I knew it was important for me to get to know him, for me to get to know the chamber directors, Jacob Colley and the group there. But Jared's a key player. And so we developed a relationship online through email exchanges prior to my coming here. And I knew how important that SOAR, shaping our Appalachian region, is to both Hal Rogers, to Governor Beshear, to Jim Host with Host Communications, formerly with Host, former governor's cabinet member, and to others that are leading this initiative, Paul Patton. And so it was important to me as an institution that we demonstrate, and as a president, that I demonstrate what role we play in that. And so out of our meeting and our partnership, we now have developed, I think, a new appreciation for what the community colleges, the 5 institutions in the region, Somerset, Hazard, Southeast, Big Sandy, and Ashland, can do for this region in training, in programmatic development, worker assessment, being on the ground, helping really narrow the skills gap that we have and create an environment that is inviting. The bottom line, Steve, is if we don't have a workforce that's ready, if we don't have a work-ready community in this region, big operators with lots of jobs are not going to come here. So we have to be ready. And so I think the SOAR Initiative provides the platform for recognition and for collaboration. And that's why I think we are so vital, all 5 of the institutions are, to come together and work together to make good things happen. We have to stay together as well. I think it's important that we work together. A lot of the institutions offer fiber optics as well as a piece of what's going on. I don't think others have the well-developed 4-year partnership that we've developed, but we're all working together and we're exchanging ideas to make things happen for SOAR. And I see them as the vehicle. I think we're all getting in their vehicle and Jared's driving, and then we're putting fuel in, we're navigating, we're helping him navigate. Some of us are riding shotgun some of the time. Some of us are in the back seat trying to figure out what we need to do next. But I think it is a partnership and we have to work together. It's a phenomenal, one-of-a-kind type of approach that I'm extremely excited to be a part of.
Earlier this year, KCTCS announced it will keep tuition the same for 2015-16. How can you afford that, and how long do you think that'll last?
It's really, that's a hard question. I knew there was going to be one, Steve. You've laid in the weeds waiting on that one, haven't you?
But, you know, tuition, that's what everyone thinks about, you know, when it comes to college and affordability.
Right. You're right. It's so important, I think, to keep it affordable. And as you well know, community colleges do more with less.
Right.
We know how to run lean and mean, and my full intention is to run a very effective and efficient operation here. It is extremely challenging at this point to be able to do what we need to do with flat tuition. Personnel costs are going up. The cost of living is more expensive. Utilities are more expensive. And so we're going to do everything we can to run effectively and efficiently. And so for the first 6 months, I'm spending a lot of time doing evaluation, assessment on where we are, what we need to be doing, how we can run more effectively. And I think it requires an entrepreneurial spirit. I'm a business major. My undergraduate degree's in business, not education. So I will look at the operation a little bit different than most educators. As you well know, presidents of colleges can mess up more stuff than anything. You won't hear many presidents say that.
You said that, not me.
I said it, and it's on record, but we can. And I think we have to look down at the big picture and understand that there are always consequences to the choices we make. And so I approach it from a business perspective. I like to look at how we operate our finances, how we're spending our money, how are we helping students get where they need to go, and are those dollars being driven to the right place? So I think that's critically important. And if we have to have another year of flat tuition, that could have some very adverse effects, some very adverse impacts. I am serving as a project manager for an action team for Dr. Boggs, and it so happens to be that my topic as project manager is tuition and fees. So I'm looking at it as a cause and effect. If we have to run tuition another year flat, and if the state does not provide any additional appropriations to the community colleges, where does that put tuition and fees? And how much can we put on the backs of the students and the parents? We have to keep that low.
Do you think that's the biggest challenge facing you guys right now?
Yeah, financial resources is definitely the biggest challenge that we face. We're running, fortunately this year, we ran a budget that did not require any transfers in. We didn't have to reach in and get, and we do not have a great deal of reserves, but we didn't have to grab any reserves to pull in to balance the budget. How long can we sustain that? I don't know. But I really think that it, depending on what the legislature does, is going to determine how our institutions will have to focus forward next year.
Where do you hope to see Big Sandy Community and Technical College in 2020?
Well, it's interesting you'd ask that question too, because we're developing our strategic plan right now that will run from 16 to 2022. We have an accreditation visit coming up, so that strategic plan has to be developed in a broad-based, interrelated environment with all our people, and it has to be a living document that works. Where I want to be the premier two-year institution in the state. I want to be noted as the most effective and efficient here. I want our student success numbers to be at the top. I want our transfer rates to be at the top. I want new programs that meet the needs of this region, and I want to be viewed as the premier economic, workforce, and community development engine of Eastern Kentucky. And I promise you, I'll be working as hard and motivating our people to do that. I think we work to be the best we can be at everything that we do. And ultimately, it all comes down for me, and I'm going to give you an example. I remember when Nick Saban came to coach the Alabama Crimson Tide. Everybody asked Nick Saban, when are you going to win a national championship? And his response was, we're not going to worry about winning the national championship. We're going to worry about what we have to do every day, and he calls it the process. To do the process, and then the national championships will come as a result of that. Same thing happens for Calipari, when he does so well. Same thing happens for the University of Alabama or Auburn or other teams that are around. I even met one of your young colleagues who's a big Duke fan here. Same thing for Coach K and their group. Yeah. It's the things you do every day. So every day of the week that I wake up, my prayer is going to be, let me make a difference and help me to show our people they need to make a difference every day, be on the job, doing the best they can be, and then the outcomes will happen as a result of the work that we do every day.
Do you see yourself retiring here? How long do you hope to be here?
Well, absolutely. Yes, the answer to that question is yes. I've given some thought about that when I applied. Do I want to retire here? And the reason is yes. I believe it takes 3 years, based on my own personal research and observation. 3 years for a president to get on the ground and really start making advancements at the institution. And then you spend the next period of time making all of that groundwork. It's like hoeing a garden. You've got to make sure the rows are hoed properly. You've got to fertilize it correctly. You've got to keep the weeds out. You do all of that front on, and then you'll have a great harvest. I think that's critical. And so I do see myself retiring in the state of Kentucky. I've wanted to be here all my career, and I hope I can do that.
One interesting thing about you that I read is you are a piano player. And I wish we had a piano. I'd love to hear you play.
We'll do it.
So how do you plan on using that talent here in Eastern Kentucky?
Well, I am a classically trained pianist. I play all styles. And what I've done in the past is I actually studio record CDs, and I produce them, and then we sell them, and I give all the proceeds to the scholarship fund. That's one way I can give forward and give back. Most recently in Missouri, we endowed a scholarship with over $25,000 in sales from those CDs and contributions from our family. I'll do that here, and hopefully, I don't know that I'll have time to get it for this first Christmas, but at least by the next Christmas, a CD of Christmas music that we can sell in our bookstore and around, that will actually go to a student scholarship to help students in need. I love to play. I remember when I was beginning to decide what I wanted to do in college, I had several teachers say, look, don't major in music because you can always use that as a frustration reliever. Use something else. And I'm glad I did, because when days get long and things get hard and people don't like the decisions you make, I can run to that keyboard and release some of my frustration. So
I don't know if you've been to the Mountain Arts Center or Jenny Wiley Theater yet. They might try to recruit you. You never know.
Well, I was there. I was there for the Kentucky Opry 2 Saturdays ago, and I loved the show. It was great. I'm not sure I'm that good, but
I understand you're a big cycle person. You
That's
and your wife, and of course they just opened a Rails to Trails project over there in the Big Sandy.
Yeah, Dawkins Line Trail.
I'm sure you're excited about that. And
we are
getting out and exploring more.
We are. Actually, the last 2 Sunday afternoons after church, we've gone to the college campus and ridden, because we're used to a firm pavement and we have hybrids. And so we've put in a number of miles on the college campus, through the campus, around the parking lots, and loved it. We'll get on the Dawkins Line Trail when it's not quite as hot.
Right.
It's been pretty hot here in eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. We just have a couple minutes left. Finally, you've said that you want folks to join you and find a, quote, passion for the possible. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, Steve, I think we major too much on the impossible. You know, you hear people say, well, that's just impossible to do. We major too much on what our problems are, the challenges, and we fail to look at the bright side of life. I was a big Robert Schuller fan who talked about possibility thinking. You know, you look on the possible side of things. You look on the glass that's half full, not half empty. And so I think in order to change culture, you don't do it by opinion. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. But to make a change, you do it by conviction. And conviction comes from the heart, and it requires passion to drive it. And so what I want our institution to do, and what I want to do as a president, is not let this just be what I've learned in a collegiate classroom. What I've learned over a period of time, this is how you do it, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There has to be value added to all of that theory we know. It becomes a people business. What we do is not the education business as much as it is a people business, and we forget that. And so I want to remind everybody that you need a passion to make a difference, a passion to make the institution great, a passion to make students successful, a passion to revolutionize this entire region. And so my mantra for the next couple of years is going to be develop a passion, and let's keep the passion for the possible. And then as we see the possible unfold, great things will happen. I remember someone said that Walt Disney built Disney World on a dream and a mouse.
Yeah.
All we need is a dream.
All right. Dr. Stevenson, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Steve.
We'll see you next time on Issues and Answers.